Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after OpTic's defeat last night to the Boston Breach, a certain individual has let his thoughts be known on why they might have fallen short. Have they deprioritized Call of Duty practice in place of other games, let's say Valorant for example, or is this completely irrelevant to the fact that their comms last night certainly did not seem to be up to scratch? Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Videos of the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to dive into today. Firstly, wanted to mention this just from Slasher real quick. Nice, he says, because tough scenes for Los Angeles Guerrillas last night. They also do not have the easiest set of matches upcoming as well. They play up against, I think it's the New York Subliners tonight, and their games from then on don't get easier either. So they have a pretty tough schedule. That would have been a big 10 points yesterday for Los Angeles Guerrillas, because teams below them on 120, 110 points are going to come flying through. Minnesota Rokkr, of course, they play today. You've got the Subliners also are still in with a shout technically. Florida Mutineers there or thereabouts, I think, on 110, and then Los Angeles Thieves on 120, right? So if Los Angeles Guerrillas go, let's just say they go 1-4 or something, even with this new team, they looked better last night, don't get me wrong. They could easily win a few series here, but I mean, still, that would have been a big 10 points for them. There's no denying it. Getting reverse swept by Toronto Ultra in that fashion, and the numbers honestly for the series are kind of remarkable. The fact that they all managed to go positive and still lose the series. Clemens goes minus 26 for the win. You got to credit Toronto Ultra where it's due, managing to win a series with these statistics. But again, let's say LAG do go 1-4 and start in the losers bracket at the major. Another top 12, top 8 could be on the cards, and that's not going to give them enough points to qualify for the World Championship, I think. I think honestly 150-ish, maybe a little bit more than that, who knows, maybe a little bit less. I'm not really sure it's going to be enough points to qualify, but it might be a very different number. We'll see how it goes over the coming weeks here, but some teams are going to make it, some teams of course are not, and if Los Angeles Guerrillas control stays the way it is, they're certainly not going to make it. This I thought was remarkable. They've not won a control in 83 days. They're 0-10 in control since that time. This must be from the Major 2 Grand Finals, right? Because I'm pretty sure they beat FaZe in at least one of the controls in that Grand Finals there. I mean, they must have done. It was a 5-2 series, surely. And anyway, since then, in the Prime Classic itself, and also since then in Major 3, the entirety of Major 3, and now the start of Major 4 qualifiers, they've not won a control in all that time, which obviously is contributing to their downfall, right? And we've also seen that generally, OpTic lately, when they lose controls, they're, well, very much at risk of losing a series, right? It seems like, sometimes when they lose a control, they think, damn, we lost a control, this series chalked, and then things go downhill from there. But it certainly was another point that ACHES is mentioning here in a second that might have, well, caused them to fall short, but thought, yeah, not particularly pretty stats on the Los Angeles Guerrillas front. Wanted to mention this as well yesterday because we did mention briefly why there were so many technical delays. Crim was having some sort of tech issues at the office, had to have some sort of PC swap come in, and as he said, I played on 3 different PCs today, had no warm-up in my defense, right? So that's kind of what he was saying. I got fried in some of the respawns, but he was actually using different PCs, didn't get a time to warm up, so I guess that's fair play. But of course they play a game tonight, Los Angeles Guerrillas. Hopefully no more technical delays, especially on a 4-match day. Now, well, I wanted to look at this actually before we talk about the OpTic stuff, because I thought this is really interesting. I voted in this, a few other guys of course voted in this as well, and then Crone put together the current rookie ladder. I feel like it's Pred, Sib, Undisputed, either in that order or the other way around. I'd personally put Pred slightly above, that's just me. Capsule I thought was a little bit interesting in 3rd, just because, as Crone says, recently benched. I think I'd Capsule be slightly lower, but honestly maybe on the entire season, he's still just about 3rd, but he won't be there for long given he just got benched for the team, right, in the way Nero played yesterday. I feel like generally this is a reasonable list though. I guess it's a Jimbo that misses out here and is the 11th rookie on this list, I suppose. Dave Paddy about at 7th or so. Gizmo would have been right up there at the start of the year, but since then it's kind of fallen off. Gravity, Harry, Nero's impressed me though, and Prelude of course has also been pretty solid on the OpTic team, but yesterday didn't have his greatest series either, so thought that was a pretty interesting top 10 rookie rankings right now. Not the strongest year I've ever seen in terms of rookies, but at the top 2, Pred and Sib definitely do bring the averages up, I suppose, in that sense. And this is the MVP ladder of the season, so effectively just, who's the best player this year. But also I like to consider when voting for this, which player has a reasonable chance of actually being the MVP for either an event or the season if things progress as they have been. So that's why I put Attach in here on my list. I don't think I had him quite as high as 8th, but maybe I could have done, to be honest, because of the way he's been playing lately. But if Minnesota have a result, Attach is going to be the MVP, right? So that's kind of why I put him there. Pred and Sib, I think, definitely in this list somewhere or another. Cellium being back to number 1, I thought was kind of interesting. Makes sense, I think, given the way things have been going lately for OpTic. But Shotzi and Dashi kind of rounding out the top 3. Scumps there or thereabouts as well at number 7. Clinics, Hydra. I'm pretty sure these are all the 10 players that I had, just in a slightly different order. Wanted to mention this as well. The reverse sweep show that Deserter have been doing for the last few weeks is now only going to be a post-major show. I guess they just run out of budget here to fund these guys for, well, after every single match weekend. But yeah, disappointed because I really enjoyed this show, and now it seems to kind of only going to be a post-major show and just some special episodes during Champ, so I guess we'll see how that one goes. I'm kind of surprised they didn't get a title sponsor or something. I'm pretty sure they've had in previous seasons, which might have helped fund it, so I don't really know, but kind of unfortunate. At least we've got the flank to keep us ticking over. And speaking of the flank, of course, there are a few spicy words going around last night for, well, the OpTic guys and exactly why they might have fallen short in that series. His method says, teammates are unreal, GG's OpTic 1-3-2. And yes, you've got to credit Boston. Vivid played a great series. It's certainly mind-blowing that Florida let him go to a team that might well out-qualify them for the World Championship, let's just say. But also, like, OpTic, I'm sure, will look back at this series and think, damn, we've done it again. It was rather reminiscent in a way of their series up against Los Angeles Thieves, where they had a substantial advantage, up 1-0, 4-1 in the search. And then after that point, they just played terrible Call of Duty for the next, effectively, half an hour, and then lost the series. That's pretty much what happened here, right? After the control situation, they played terrible in the hard point. The search and destroy was just woeful to watch, to be honest, the game 5. And then, of course, Boston walk away with the series in the end. A big one for Boston, of course, getting those 10 points, but also for OpTic, right? Because, like, their schedule gets harder as they go on. I think they play Minnesota today, then I think they play Paris, but their final 2 series, I'm pretty sure against FaZe in New York in one series or another, so it's not exactly an easy stage for OpTic here. When you start down 1-0 as they are at the present time, this thought was kind of incredible, actually. If this is true, I didn't actually look up to guarantee, but I'm going to take TacticalRab Academy's word for it here, that was the first time TJ Halley has actually beaten Shotzzy in the CDL, the entirety, I guess, of, well, Modern Warfare, Cold War, even last year when TJ was briefly on Los Angeles Thieves. Like, I'm not sure they beat Dallas Empire during that period, and then this is the first time TJ's managed to do it, right? So fair play TJ, pulling a reverse sweep against OpTic, but yes, Rambo says, that was painful. GG's to Boston. I can't imagine what Rambo was feeling watching those. I mean, the control was bad enough. The hard point was like, okay, it is what it is, it's Picard, and then game 5, like, I'm sure, like, this guy was just mind-blown at some of the stuff he was seeing from those guys. But this has been a question raised here by ACHES, is that, okay, how much Call of Duty has this team been playing the last couple of weeks? And I think certainly, if you wanted to look at all 12 teams and which team has been practicing the least the last couple of weeks or so, it's probably going to be the OpTic guys. And that's not necessarily their fault, right? They thought they were going to have Illy came through. They were only playing like 1 scrim match a day just because like they wanted to like ease Illy back into it effectively. And then a few days before they're meant to play their matches, Illy now can't play anymore. Product comes back in. So of course, like, it's not ideal for OpTic at all. It makes sense why they've had kind of worse practice the last few weeks. But you could also argue that, okay, maybe some of these 8s that have been going on, respawn 8s, search and destroy 8s, there's been a lot of that happening actually. And as even as Ake says in a second, which I think is probably representative of reality, is that Illy's actually playing in these more often than a lot of the OpTic guys are, right? We know that Scump doesn't like to play 8s and stuff like this, but still, if you're not playing too many practice scrims, then maybe like that would be a good way to actually get some practice in the game, as opposed to pretty much just taking a few weeks off that they have done here after the major, like, and yeah, played a lot of Valorant as Dashy's been doing. Don't get me wrong, Dashy's discussing your Valorant, and I don't really think it's affected his individual ability, but in terms of like team chemistry and the way they performed yesterday, there might be an argument to be said that, these guys should be playing a little bit more Call of Duty, right? This is always an argument that transcends all sorts of esports, but this is what Ace has to say here. I'll share for you guys, saying that effectively some of the plays that are being made here are indicative of a situation where the OpTic guys are just playing too much Valorant, not playing enough Call of Duty, their focus isn't where it needs to be, and even looking at one particular play from Dashy in the Search and Destroy, where he effectively tapped the bomb as if he was playing a Valorant or a Counter-Strike.
You know what it sounds like to me, Tom?
What?
Sounds like a team that's been grinding Valorant.
Oh, Pat, come on, cut the ball. Cut the Pat, they grind every day. They play 2 scrims a day. They play hours of COD every day,
Pat.
Say
that, but I've been seeing Rambo tweeting out, streaming all day long. So he's obviously not coaching. Ain't no scrims happening.
Well, I mean, they got a guy on a airplane now coming from Jersey.
Pat may be exaggerating, but
it sounds like a team that's on Valorant, calling out them just when they die, right? I'm just saying.
Pat may be exaggerating.
Valorant gets you better at COD, bro. Valorant gets you better at COD,
how you want.
Pat may be exaggerating, but there are teams that have been like playing S&D 8s. There's been a lot of S&D 8s going on.
Nobody.
There's a lot of. I think there's been even some respawn 8s.
Not true. OpTic is in those. Amp plays in those. Dashy plays in those.
I've seen Illy playing those more than I've seen the OpTic team playing them. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying that's a direct correlation in terms of like, why they might be performing not as good. But hey, man, it's still valid. It's still valid. Like, I could see it because. Yeah, that happened. That's happened with a lot of teams, dude, where they just like stop playing COD as much.
Is crazy, Chris. Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, I mean, I could definitely see it, but I don't think that's the only thing that's been struggling. Like I said, I think their comms are just abysmal. Like nowadays,
bro. I'm pretty sure in Game 5 in this series, one of them tapped bomb. Yeah, and let's focus it on Dashy on the minimap. Number 5 on the minimap. Look what happens.
Okay.
Look at the bomb meter. He shot him in tap bomb.
Okay, but maybe
tap bomb.
Maybe he was just thinking about it. Maybe he was thinking about it, bro.
So do you guys think there's any truth to this? I think it's more likely the situation is just because of all the drama with the Illy situation, the Pro League situation, that they haven't been able to get the practice in. I definitely think they did look under practiced here. And also their communication, I think, was kind of the key thing to me. Just listening to it, Paris had even mentioned it right there in that clip that their comms were just terrible. I don't really know what their comms were like in these sound of 1v2 situations, but it's pretty abysmal. But also just in terms of individual plays, it didn't really seem like they were kind of up to standards. This is a particular play here from Dashy, right, where he hops on the bomb for, this is where you've really just got to stick it, I think. But he hops on it for half a second. I guess he was just thinking about what to do, not necessarily trying to tap the bomb as if it's Valorant to give away the sound cue, as of course you can in that game, but eventually gets found out here and Vivid clutches the rounds. But Aches also said in that clip, he mentioned complacency, right? He reckoned that this team effectively has got a bit complacent with how good they think they are, which, I don't know if there's maybe they were feeling that to a degree because they thought Illy was coming back, if you know what I mean. They were probably thinking, okay, we don't need Pro League anymore, Illy's coming back into the team, that's all good, and sunshine and rainbows effectively, which obviously has not been the case at all, and therefore they felt like, okay, look, we're going to be great with Illy. When Illy did step back in briefly, they apparently Scump said he was effectively throwing with him in the team, so they're feeling super confident, and now that's clearly not the case at all. So that is the question to me. Did they get a bit too comfortable that they thought Illy was coming back, and now that he hasn't done, and Pro League is back in the team, then they're seriously struggling, right? But maybe you can make a compelling argument to say that if they were playing a bit less Valorant and more Search and Destroy, Respawn 8s, then they might be a little bit more clued up on how to play these situations than they seemed to be last night, because they looked pretty much lost in a lot of these situations. So maybe it's time to, I suppose, lock in for the final push, as Scump says every year, towards the World Championship. But intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below on that one, and certainly OpTic's points total. You would imagine they should be solidified here for the number 2 seed, which of course will mean at the World Championship they'll play the number 7 seed. It's always difficult to say whether you actually want to play the 7th seed or the 6th seed or whatever, because all these teams can juggle around very nicely. But still OpTic in a decent position. But realistically, given that you think going into the World Championship with this team, if they are going in with this squad of 4, how much chance do they really have to win it? It seems rather unlikely on current form. Major 4 might be a great chance for them to actually, win an event and get back into that form. And in fairness, the last time they lost their first match, I'm pretty sure, and got reverse swept as well, whatever the situation was in a stage, was stage 1 against London, right? I'm pretty sure they played London first game of that stage, or whatever the case was, and they actually went on to win that major. So maybe the storylines are playing out the same way again, but seems rather unlikely. These are the present point standings, and New York, they're creeping up on the possibility of making something happen here. OpTic play Minnesota tonight though, so their games get harder theoretically. Minnesota, great online. I think Minnesota are going to be a really tough fight here for OpTic. If OpTic want to win this, I'd be surprised if they do it before a game 5, and I'm not really sure I trust OpTic in a game 5 right now against Minnesota. I might still have to favour them though, just on raw ability, but I'm sure these topics of conversations about grinding Valorant and stuff and not playing too much Call of Duty are not going to go away, especially if the result doesn't go their way tonight. Now, FaZe don't play today. I'm sure this is, when I see a tweet like this, I know you guys have pointed out many times, these are always song lyrics when people tweet. It actually sounds like it should be a song lyric as well. But anyway, Cellium's tweeted this probably for a reason, that he's been on the grind, and he's going to, try and do his best to take advantage of other teams maybe falling short in terms of the effort that they are putting in. FaZe don't play today, though they play tomorrow, but New York Subliners do play later on today. New bit of content here with cars, in cars, getting coffee with Crimsix. Sounds kind of fun. But anyway, these are the games today. Toronto versus London. You've got to favour Toronto here. It's tough to look past them. Hopefully London look better, but if they got bodied by Paris Legion the other day, don't have much face against a very well-polished team like Toronto. New York versus Guerrillas. This is harder to call, I think, than the Florida series, but I still think New York is just the better team. LAG didn't really impress me that much yesterday. First couple of maps, they looked all right, but Toronto in the end just straight up outplayed them as the series progressed. I do think it's going to be a close one, but again, 3-1 New York, I might just about take. But look, you've got to take Neptune, in a way that he's playing the kind of grudge series here against New York. Neptune versus his old team. You've got to think Neptune's going to fry, but even factoring that in, I feel like New York is just slightly better. And of course, it's a massive series for both teams, but New York especially need to win. Then OpTic versus Minnesota. I don't know how to call this one, honestly, because as I just said, I feel like Minnesota here, if it goes game 5, are probably the favoured team to win. I can easily see OpTic just losing full in this series again, as they seemingly did yesterday against Boston. But, I don't know, still, OpTic just have too much firepower, and they're generally just too good online, and sometimes they bounce back, so I'm going to take OpTic 3-1. I don't know, I just love a 3-1. I can't help myself, but still, if it goes game 5, I think Minnesota are probably favourites in that situation. And then Thieves Boston. I don't know how to call this one as well. It's a bounty match. All these games are so important for seeding, man. Rokkr need to win this to get the 10 points. It's crazy. Boston as well, Los Angeles Thieves. Like, Thieves kind of need to win this one as well. But if anything, Boston kind of impressed me yesterday, and I have no idea how good Thieves are going to look. So I might just lean Boston's way, just because the Vivid situation did impress me a lot. And in terms of the SMG power, like, they blow Thieves out the water right now. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tells your YouTube God this is a good video, and as like you should see it as well. And I hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you guys as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.